All right, hi, I'm Greg Agee. So the story of addiction with me started back when I was just a kid. I started drinking and smoking cigarettes when I was about 8 years old, and I just loved that rush, that lifestyle. So I continued in it. I was very popular in school. I had a very prestigious background. So I was the quarterback of the football team and just all the hype of everything that you can imagine. And it led me into a different place where I had to maintain my prestige, right? So what had happened was I went through all of school, um, drinking and smoking, and then introduced to marijuana. So I started smoking some weed. And I enjoyed that to an extensive amount of fun. I ended up selling it so I could smoke for free, and then it became the lifestyle. So my entire life then looked like I was a little doughboy. I started selling everything else. Then I started using everything else. And it was a real fun time. But as our Bible teaches us, it was just for a season. Um, Things became worse. So through that process, I started to lose some of my friends, either to death or to just the streets, and they became homeless. I fortunately was never homeless. I always had a remedy out. I got saved when I was young. So the Lord had always been there to provide for me and keep me safe, right? But it wasn't always pleasant. I went in and out of drug and alcohol treatment centers in my early 30s all the way to my late 30s. I just couldn't kick it. I had a lot of problems with getting sober and then trying to figure out life again. And there was just something different. Like I just needed to be sober and enjoy it, and I couldn't do the same, right? So my entire life looked like, let's get drunk or high and then enjoy that time. And I had to reintroduce fun with sobriety, and it wasn't right. I couldn't do it. So the last treatment center I went to, I was really humbled. I said, look, I got to kick this, right? And I tried everything in my own power to do so. And this time I said, all right, I'm really going to lean on you, God. I'm going to trust you because I can't stop. And it was really powerful, right? It was really powerful. I finally committed back to walking that Christian life. I was there at that treatment center. I can remember the day. And it was pretty cool because I was like, all right, I give up. I give up, God. I give up. It's all you. And that treatment center, they were secular. So we went through AA and NA. And I just couldn't do that. Like AA was my choice because alcohol led me to everything else. And I work an AA program still. I'm still involved in the rooms. But I like to use AA as a gathering place to find some new disciples. So I started going to them rooms, and they were talking about this God of your understanding, right? And I had already got my relationship back to a better place at that point. It wasn't good, but it was better, right? And I could recognize God working on some things in my life. At that point, I had already 3 kids, but I couldn't see any of them. My ex-wife, so I had a marriage and I destroyed that through alcohol. My ex-wife said no more. The drugs was enough, and I was on some pretty hard drugs, which I understand. I was no fit for them kids or for them. So that divorce happened. Then I got with my fiance, or my wife now, but we became engaged. That was a disaster. Drugs and alcohol destroyed all that. We had a baby in the middle of it, right? And I wasn't allowed to see him either. But then I started praying, and I started giving my life back to the Lord, and I started serving. And as soon as those things started happening, the blessings started coming out. I started talking to my other 2 kids, like my ex-wife was cool. She said, here you go. I hope that you do it right this time. She too is a Christian woman. So then I started my girlfriend that wasn't a girlfriend any longer now. She was like one of my main supports. So she was coming into the treatment place. She would go to some interviews with me, and we would work on things for myself. It was all about me. I had to fix me because I was no good to anybody else, right? So then that went through. That was a 2 or 3 month process. Then I went to their sober livings. I processed through there really well and ended up getting out of the secular life and into a faith-based program. And I went over to another facility that's around the corner from here and got into a mix of a bunch of Christian people. And I was sitting back trying to figure out what path I was going to take now. And I've always loved to help people. So I was sitting down with one of the guys there. He too is a pastor, and we were talking about counseling. And counseling led me to my calling. I got my call to become a preacher in the middle of this, man. And that was the coolest thing. This, aside from me and say, that was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. And now, through working a good program and following the Lord, I've got 5 kids total. I do have a wife now. The same woman that supported me through all that is now my wife. And some of the best things that I get to do today is I get to preach and teach of how God can save us and redeem us from all of that sin and forgive us and to put us in a new place. And now my job is I get to preach and teach and disciple. So I'm the program manager now of the discipleship program. And I get to teach these guys how to change their life, you know, and just to devote their time to the Lord and really submit. And that's really my story. Is there's a whole lot of God, there's a whole lot of story, a whole lot of nonsense. But the reality of it is when I stopped doing what I was doing and I just gave my life over to Him, things started to change. And I understand, like, the God of your understanding is how it started for me again. I kept hearing that nonsense, right? And I was like, I know who God is. And now it's no longer nonsense because those people need that too. You need to find God, right? And if it starts as that pillar on the wall over there, you know, just stuck up a painting of whatever it is, if that can lead you to the Lord, He can fix us all, right? And my story is evident. I have all of my family back. I have all of my friends that are real friends, and I've gained a whole lot of new ones that are walking this walk out too. And it's important to surround yourself with those kinds of people if you are an addict, right? Because we can get mixed up in the wrong crowd and be deceived real quickly. So my life is great now. I still go through ups and downs. And that's just a chance for me to find that fellowship with the Lord again. He allows some things to separate myself to say, look, you can't do this on your own. Do you remember the old days? And so I lived in the old days often and say, look, I need to come back to you, Father. And I love you, Lord. Thank you for putting me where I am. I express gratitude every day, and I teach my guys, we got to express gratitude towards the maker of everything. Amen.